Cloud gaming is all about hosting games on fancy cloud servers and streaming them directly to your device. No more annoying downloads hogging up your storage. Clients and server becomes best friends, exchanging commands and making gameplay possible. But the cloud gaming industry faces some challenges in cost control. It is crucial to make the service affordable for the masses. We need to optimize the economics of streaming and delivering games efficiently. After all, gaming bliss should be within reach for everyone. Jan, can you explain the basic architecture of cloud gaming and how it works?
Hi, Anita. Sure, I can do that. And let's use this handy dandy diagram we have in another article on cloud gaming on the NetInt website. And here we're looking at two views of how cloud gaming can be rendered and played. And the top view is traditional gaming. And keep in mind that gameplay is very hardware intensive. You need a pretty hefty CPU to handle the game logic. You need a GPU to render the game frames, and then depending on whether you're playing locally or over a network, you may need another device like a VPU or a video processing unit to transcode the frame. Traditionally, all that hardware existed locally. You played the game by yourself, which meant a pretty expensive computer or a pretty expensive game console like an Xbox or others. And if there was a cloud component, that was handled in the cloud pretty efficiently, because there wasn't, it was controls being sent, not frames being sent. So that was pretty efficient from a bandwidth perspective. What that didn't allow you to do was to play these games on a mobile device, whether a smartphone or a tablet, or even a notebook that didn't have a lot of capabilities. You needed a hefty computer to play games effectively. And what cloud gaming gives you is the ability to play your games on any device that you want. And how it does that is it transfers, looking at the bottom, it transfers all that expensive hardware into the cloud. And all you're sending with your game controller are game controls, game responses up into the cloud. And then the CPU renders the game logic, sends it to the GPU. The GPU renders, the frames relating to that logic. And then typically that's going to be encoded by a separate VPU, video processing unit, and sent back to you streaming-wise. So you don't need a very expensive device in order to play cloud gaming. Obviously, there are challenges from a latency and a bandwidth perspective, but the economics are completely changed. The economics, the expensive hardware is now in the cloud, not in your local computer.
In terms of cost control, what challenges does the cloud gaming industry face?
The thing about cloud gaming is that entry-level pricing is, as low as $6 a month. And we just spoke about the fact that you've got to put all this expensive hardware in the cloud. So what you have to do to be profitable at cloud gaming is to make this hardware work as efficiently as possible, because it's going to serve, much more than one subscriber. It's going to serve many subscribers at a time, and many hopefully subscribers over the course of a month and a year.
The interview with Olivier Avaro mentioned the use of both public and private cloud infrastructure. Can you elaborate on this hybrid cloud approach?
There's a saying that goes back years and years that says, first be effective and then be efficient. So you can use the public cloud kind of to prove the concept, to prove that, people will come and play the games. But then ultimately you have to make it efficient from a pricing perspective, and more importantly, a cost perspective. So the public cloud basically is a great way to start out, because you can throw dozens and dozens of machines at the process to make sure that it is responsive and make sure that the experience is good for the game player. The problem is that's going to be very, very expensive. So once you prove the concept, once you understand that the business is viable, what you want to do is you want to buy your own hardware, and that could be the CPU, that could be the GPU, and that could be a VPU, again, a video processing unit, and place that in a private cloud or place that in a co-location facility, so that you've bought the expensive components. You're not renting the expensive components on a cost per hour basis from any of the cloud vendors. Start out with the public cloud, prove the concept, and then buy your own hardware and make it much more efficient, because if you don't get that efficiency, it's not going to be profitable.
The cost per concurrent user, CCU, was mentioned as a key metric. What is the significance of this metric in cloud gaming?
I mean, that metric is everything because you're buying the hardware, and unless the cost per concurrent user is sufficiently low that you can afford the hardware, then you're not going to be profitable. So it's a key metric on the capex side, on the how much do you have to spend to get going, and you know Oliver talked about the fact that he was able to drop the cost per concurrent user from $1 down to 10 cents per user. He got from 20 to 24 games per two rack mount unit to 200 games. And that's huge. I mean, the $6 a month is your entry level subscription price. That's going to cover, it's got to cover the gameplay, but it's also got to cover the marketing costs and all other costs ancillary to the cloud gaming platform. So if you're able to drop your cost per concurrent user by 90%, that's going to be huge in your profitability.
The interview touched upon the use of VPUs, video processing units, in cloud gaming architecture. How do VPUs improve performance and density?
So the GPU is the graphics processing unit, and when it works only processing the graphics, rendering the gameplay into frames, it's very, very efficient. But when you ask it to do multiple things, like compress the video frame or transcode the video frame, it becomes much less efficient at the overall throughput. So what Olivier found was that when he added VPUs to the hardware mix, it allowed the GPUs to operate so much more efficiently. The VPUs were extremely efficient on their own, and it even allowed the CPU to operate more efficiently as well. So overall, again, it increased his throughput from 20 to 24 to 200 gameplays per one 2RU machine.
Olivier mentioned that VPUs improved performance by a factor of 10x. That sounds pretty incredible. How does that work technically?
Okay, so there's two aspects to that. One is peer-to-peer DMA. I'll get into that in a moment, and the other is the efficiency of the transcoding hardware. And when we talk about a VPU, it's a transcoding device, a video processing unit that's built from an application-specific integrated circuit. And an application-specific integrated circuit for transcoding was designed to do one thing, transcode. And therefore, it's very, very efficient at it and also very power efficient. Every gate that could possibly be dedicated to transcoding is dedicated to transcoding. Unlike a GPU, which has a lot of general purpose gates for graphics processing and some for transcoding, or CPU, which is totally general purpose, which makes it very inefficient from a transcoding perspective. So VPUs are very, very efficient from a transcoding perspective. The other aspect of the efficiency that a VPU enables in the cloud gaming system is via a technology called peer-to-peer DMA. Now, if we didn't have peer-to-peer DMA, and DMA stands for direct memory access, when the GPU rendered the frame, it would create a YUV frame, which is a raw format, very, very large, very, very hard to transfer, and it would transfer that from the GPU to the VPU, and that process would be controlled by the host CPU. Meaning the host CPU would have to take cycles from the game rendering that it's doing to manage those transfers, and it's handling those transfers. There's a lot of them. So that would really degrade the CPU's overall performance and again degrade overall system throughput. Now what peer-to-peer DMA does, it allows the GPU to send these frames directly to the VPU and avoid any interaction from the host CPU. So bottom line is the VPU allows the GPU to operate most efficiently. It allows the CPU to operate most efficiently. And it's a much more efficient transcoding device than either of those other devices. So that's how you get from 20 to 24 games per 2RU rack to 200 games per 2RU rack.